Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
From day one, President Rodrigo Duterte promised big changes.
Fight against criminality and illegal drugs and corruption will be relentless and sustained.
And he wanted to get the job done quickly and decisively.
Just give me a little extension, maybe of another 6 months.
It has been a year like never before in Philippine politics. Making new friends
China can relax. We are friends.
and new foes.
Why are you trying to impose on us? Why don't you mind your own business?
Steering a fast-moving economy
When you make money at the expense of the poor Filipino, you are an oligarch.
and fighting a war to finally find lasting peace.
I am very sorry na nangyari ito sa atin.
We take a look at President Duterte's key promises to see which ones he's kept and those that have been broken. Top decision makers and key voices here to answer your questions. CNN Philippines brings you Town Hall. Welcome to Town Hall, a CNN Philippines special presentation right here at the Far Eastern University. I'm Pia Ontiveros. June 30th marks President Rodrigo Duterte's first year in office, and today we will review and assess how much has changed in this country. We will look at policy accomplishments as well as the challenges and difficulties that this administration is facing. And that's why we've invited a number of people who can help us better understand the overall performance of the current administration. Let's please welcome our guests, the spokesman of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Brigadier General Restituto Padilla. Also here with us, Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez. Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno is also here with us today. We're also joined by Transportation Assistant Secretary for Rails, TJ Batan. And the Assistant General Manager and Chief of Staff of the Metro Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, Jojo Garcia. We also invited PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa, but he was not available to join us this afternoon. Instead, we spoke to him just a few hours ago, and we will bring that interview to you later on in the program. Now, the ongoing conflict in Marawi, of course, on everyone's minds. It's been more than a month since the president declared martial law in all of Mindanao after the Maute terror group took control of the city of Marawi. The question people are asking right now, and many of you are asking that question, when will this end? Well, so let's begin with the AFP spokesperson, General Padilla. Sir, how much progress is being made on the ground?
Pia, the progress on the ground is progressive enough and very positive from our own perspective. The bulk of the enemy that has been on the ground at the very first week and up to the second or third week has been diminished. The number of bodies that have been recovered on the part of the enemy, yung mga katawan po, mga labi ng mga kalaban na na-recover ay parami ng parami. At ganun din po ang nakukuha nating mga armas. Umaabot na po sa 360 plus, no, if I'm not mistaken, ang numero at bilang ng high-powered firearms na nakukuha natin sa lugar ng mga bakbakan. At ang bilang po ng mga nare-rescue natin, ng mga kababayan natin na galing po sa loob, ay patuloy din tumataas. So these numbers reflect a positive trend in the way we have been conducting the war on the ground. Unfortunately, there leaves behind still a number of residents that need to be rescued. And most of them are turning out to be senior citizens and perhaps a few young. This is where our concern is, because we would not want to add to the numbers of innocent civilians that have already died. As of last count, we have 27 confirmed, but we have not yet confirmed many of those that have reported to have been done inside Marawi as executions by the terrorists in previous weeks. So until such time that we are able to see all those remains, we cannot include them in the report. And we would like to prevent this from happening. That's why what we have been doing on the ground has been a very slow-paced, very deliberate, and very judicious action, so that we can address all the threats that are existing and continues to exist in 4 barangays or pockets of those barangays that remain problematic to this day. I would just like to bring the consciousness of our citizenry that the security situation here will continue to improve. We don't doubt that we will win, but it will take a little bit more of time. The environment that we are operating in is very much like what you see in previous reports from international press about Mosul, Raqqa, Sitre, and the like, which are very complex environments and where the kind of combat is hard to carry out owing to the complexity that is in existence, like this existence of civilians inside, as well as potential hostages that still remain in the hands of the enemy. Pero ang ating pong determinasyon na tapusin ito ay nariyan. Ang ating pong mga sundalo hindi po nagdadalawang isip para bumalik sa bakbakan pag sila'y nasusugatan at makasama uli ang kanilang mga kasamahan upang matulungan at mabawi uli natin ang bayan ng Marawi at maibalik ang takbo ng buhay na matahimik, maunlad ng ating mga kapatid na Maranao.
General Padilla, you said that you are fighting this war in a very deliberate, judicious manner. Colonel Joar Herrera, spokesperson of Joint Task Force Marawi, was saying victory is irreversible, but at the same time, you're not putting any more deadlines to this, so we are going to wait for just a little bit longer.
That's right, Pia, and that is why I took the case and examples of the battles that are raging on in the Middle East, because they are very much similar to each other. The city of Marawi is a built-up area. The areas we're fighting with, the group that we are fighting with here, to whom they have affiliated themselves, is similar to Mosul, Sitre, and the like. So it's a kind of environment that provides a different kind of complexity compared to previous engagements that we have had inside jungles and other forested areas or the mountains. So this is a kind of warfare that I think was intentional on the part of the terrorists, and they knew that this would be prolonged. That is why we are also very careful and we are very deliberate in everything we're doing. Unfortunately, the employment of military power has got to be as it is now. We need to use aircraft, we need to bomb places in order to protect the lives of our troops. Things that can be rebuilt again, but lives lost cannot be taken back again.
Well, let's talk to someone, bring in someone to the conversation who's been inside Marawi for several weeks. Our senior correspondent, David Santos. David, you saw firsthand what the situation was like there.
That's right, Pia. Babalik lang natin nga mula Marawi. No, we stayed for almost a month there, monitoring the situation in that particular crisis. We've seen what General Padilla has been describing. No, very relentless sa mga militants, very challenging environment for the troops, as well as the pain and suffering that the people have to go through. Let me just point out that this is an entire city that had to evacuate, had to move to a safer ground. We're talking about more than 200,000 people, and then more than 300 people dead, and 70 of them are members of the government forces. Now, my question would be for General Padilla as well to Secretary Diokno of DBM, to General Padilla first. Sir, of course, we can't say kung kailan mariresolve itong crisis na to, pero ang common question ngayon ng mga residente ng Marawi, na marami ngayon nasa evacuation center, from the perspective of safety and security, how soon, granting na mariresolve itong crisis, how soon can they go back to Marawi? Kasi we understand, marami po kayong i-consider na mga factors doon. And siguro perhaps kay Secretary Diokno, ganun din, yung mga tanong ng mga tao, sir, sa budget na i-allocate ng gobyerno for the rehabilitation and recovery of Marawi, kasali ho ba dyan yung mga reconstruction or rebuilding of homes? Kasi marami dito nasira sa naging operation dyan sa Marawi. General Padilla?
Unang-una, yung kasagutan kung kailan ito matatapos. Kung kayo'y naiinip na rin po kami. At alam naman po natin at batid natin sa lahat ng mga hinanaing at mga komentong nakukuha namin sa mga residente ng bayan ng Marawi na talagang gustong-gusto na pong bumalik ng ating mga kababayan sa kanilang mga tahanan. Pero hindi po natin ito mapahintulutan dahil yung kapakanan nyo rin ang iniisip namin. Dahil sa bawat sulok ng syudad, sa bawat bahay na aming pinapasok, ang aming pong nakukuha ay katakot-takot na mga IED, mga bomba na tinatanim ng mga teroristang ito. At ang pakay ko po ng pagkalalagay ng mga bombang yan ay hindi po para manakit lamang kung hindi pumatay. Kanya't kung hindi po natin iingatan ang pagkiklear at pagsasagawa ng mga paglinis dito sa mga gusaling ito, yung mga naiiwang mga patibong dyan ay maaring makasakit sa mga mamamayan natin na magsisibalik sa kanilang mga tahanan. Kanya't ang atin pong ginagawa ngayon na operasyon ay maselan. Unang-una, may kinakalaban ka at kinakaharap na kabarilan sa kabilang panig. At pag ikaw ay nakausad na sa harap, yung mga gusaling papasukin mo ay kinakailangan mo pang linisin sa mga bomba at mga patibong na nakalagay. Ganon din yung mga iniiwanan namin sa likod dahil yung unang mga puwersang pumapasok, kaunti pa lang ang kanilang makiklear. Kaya sisiguraduhin ng mga pumapasok na mga sumusunod na puwersa na ang mga lugar na yan ay libre talaga sa mga IED, sa mga pasabog, at anumang mga materyales na maaring makasakit sa ating mga kababayan. Ito po ay kinakailangan gawing unti-unti at hindi po pwedeng bilisan dahil kung hindi, ang buhay po ng sundalo, ang buhay ng mga mamamayang papasok at babalik dyan, ang siyang nakakompromiso.
Secretary Diokno, at this point, people are talking
Kung
about...
naiinip
Yeah.
kayo, naiinip na rin kami. Dahil, in fact, last Friday, kinausap ko na yung mga relevant agencies, no? Yung DepEd, sa eskwelahan, sa Department of Health, DSWD, Department of Agriculture, Public Works, no? Talagang naghahanda na kaming pumunta sa Marawi to make a first-hand assessment of the situation. Yung pera, hindi naman pinag-uusapan yun. Kasi marami pang naiiwan dyan for yung tinatawag na NDREAM, National Disaster Risk Management. May mga 15.5 billion pang naiiwan doon. No? Meron ka pang contingent fund. So, hindi problema yung pera. Ang sabi lang sa amin ng mga militar, magantay lang muna kayo para assure natin yung safety niya. Pero pinaghahandaan talaga namin yan. Lalo na ngayon, naghahanda na rin kami ng budget for next year. At this time, ginagawa na rin namin yung budget for 2018. So, there's enough money for that. No? At saka, iniisip rin namin ano matutulong dyan, halimbawa ng mga financial institutions, yung mga nagkakautang sa GSIS at SSS. Baka pwedeng moratorium muna. Huwag muna magbayad. No? National Housing Authority. So, maraming magagawa ang gobyerno. And the President promised that, no? Na i-rebuild namin ng Marawi even much better. Okay.
Thank you, Secretary Diokno. Let's ask this question of Secretary Mon Lopez of the Trade and Industry Department. Secretary Lopez, you came back from several trips abroad with President Duterte and Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez raised about $33 billion. I hope that figure is correct. 46 billion, so that's over 1.5 trillion pesos. From negotiations with the Chinese president and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. But no one wants to hear about ISIS associated with the country. So how does the situation in Marawi affect our trade relations?
Okay. As we talk to the various groups, foreign investors, foreign chambers abroad as well, they see the Marawi crisis as really as an isolated thing. And actually, they feel comfortable about the increased sense of security being provided because of the martial law declared there. I was asking them, you say any concern there? Sa tingin nila, it's really for the safety and security of the people in the area. At hindi na kumalat, and it remains to be isolated in Marawi. And that's the reason why even the current indicators in investments, industrial activities seems to be pointing towards a positive growth pa din.
So they
Pleasantly
appreciate
surprised.
that the government is addressing this terrorism
Correct.
threat.
That government is in control, has addressed it, has contained the situation in Marawi. In fact, when that happened, if you remember, we were in Moscow, in Russia. I just arrived on that day, and the president left on that day kasi yun na nga nangyari na and everybody had to go back. So pinaiwan niya kami nila Secretary Cayetano at para ituloy yung business mission, yung mga fora that we were supposed to do, and we conducted them. In fact, in the discussion with the Russian business chamber, hindi na-raise yung Marawi incident. At nakikita nga nila na siguro isolated. So investment figures, in fact, yung January to May, lumabas na yung mga even the pledges and commitments, they continue to come in, 25% growth pa rin. And even the latest number of FDI, I think about 15 or 18% growth for the first quarter, but at least yung BOI registered up to May yun and still showed 25% growth. So positive indicators, and even the latest business confidence index has been at 43%. So needless to say, the confidence level is still high from the business and investors' point of view. Hindi nila nakitang malaking problema ng buong Pilipinas, no? And even the ratings from credit rating agencies have remained to be at the investment grade level. So mukhang positibo pa. But of course, everybody would like to see this finish na. And then the ISIS issue, if you can appreciate, and we all know that it happens everywhere around the world, hindi lang sa Pilipinas. And in fact, napakadami nga ng recent incidents even in Europe, in UK, at the concern is worldwide. So, mabuti na lang dito sa atin, so far contained siya dun sa lugar na yan at hopefully matapos na, and we will be ready with the rebuilding effort.
This is a CNN Philippines special presentation that gives us a chance to review says President Duterte's first year in office. We'll be back after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back to CNN Philippines Town Hall. Still talking about Marawi. We're going to call in our senior correspondent, Ina Andulong, again, and she has somebody beside her. Go ahead,
Sakto,
Ina.
no? Katabi ko siya eh. I'm here with Hisa. She's from Marawi and she has a question to, kanina ba, General Padilla also, or those involved doon sa rebuilding, I believe, ng Marawi.
Since po nagkaroon po ng war sa Marawi, panigurado po magkakaroon yun ng mga distractions, ruins doon sa Marawi. At panigurado rin po, may mga papadalang tulong na mula sa mga ibang bansa. So, intervention po ng mga dominating countries. Hindi po kaya magiging one-way yung martial law para unti-unting pumasok dito yung mga tutulong na mga bansa sa Marawi.
Maybe we can have a brief response.
I
Yes.
talked to her earlier, no? Ang ibig niyang sabihin kasi, because the root of the struggle, the moral struggle, right? Yung parang trying, other countries trying to influence them, you know, enter their culture, and maybe maapektuhan yung kultura nila, ganon, right? Parang, how do you prevent that from happening? Kumbaga, as we rebuild, with other countries trying to help ma-maintain yung culture ng Moro at hindi sila, ano bang concern mo, mapunta sila doon?
Magkaroon po ng makolonize po yung...
Colonize, that's her concern.
Okay, well, we'll get that answer from Senator Richard Gordon, who just joined us. Correct, sir?
Yes.
And thank you for being here. Go ahead, po.
Thank you. Well, we cannot base our actions on fear. We are a very strong country individually. But as a team, we're quite weak because we don't see the common good. What is the common good in Marawi today? We have to restore opportunities. Lives have been lost, business has been lost, livelihood has been lost. So the quicker we get back on our feet, we must do it. Hindi naman natin tatanggapin lahat. For an example, if we look at Marawi, that looks like a better version of Lake Geneva. And I suggested this the other day. At noong pang 2009, in fact, not just Lake Marawi, but Lake Laguna de Bay, or Lake Cebu, or yung mga lakes natin, no? If we go to Geneva, all the all the properties there are beside the water, and they really create opportunities. So it's important na magkaroon tayo ng master plan kaagad dyan, because all the riparian areas, yung tabi ng coast, ang dami niyan. Kakalat ang development. You could have transportation, iikot ka na lang sa paligid ng lake. You could have all kinds of showcase of the Maranao culture, the Torogan houses, Torogan village. You can even have a Tausug village if you like, because this is the center, the most populous city of Muslims in our country. So to me, it's an opportunity. Nawasak ito, baguhin natin. When I went to Marawi about a few years ago, sabi ko sa governor ninyo, asisikip ng daan, salabat ang development. Pero pag inayos mo yan, lagyan mo ng mga tree lines, lagyan mo ng maganda talaga, then Mindanao culture will rise. Filipino culture in the Moro will rise. And when that happens, there will be opportunity. Balawi could be a domestic airport. You have an international airport in CDO, yung Lalindingan. So, sayang naman ang infrastructure kung di natin gagamitin for tourism or for opportunity development. I was with some Italians. They're looking for opportunities here, IPI. And I said, ano gusto nyo? Public-private partnership. Tingnan nyo kagad, ang pinakamagandang opportunity yan, medyo nasisira yung Marawi, mag-public partnership kayo with the Marawi people, may capital dyan, o doon sa ating gobyerno, para mabilis natin maibangon. And that's always a period of opportunity when you reconstruct. We should look at it that way.
Opportunity in the reconstruction and rebuilding. All right. As I said earlier, I sat down with PMT Chief Bato de la Rosa, first about the situation in Marawi and the security situation in the country. Let's listen.
Marami tayong trupa na involved doon. They are fighting side by side with the military. Yung nga lang, the overall control ng gira ng Marawi is the military, the armed forces. So, naging force provider lang kami. Nagbibigay kami ng puwersa ng ating Special Action Force at saka yung ating Regional Public Safety Battalions nandun na, and some of our yung ating mga floating assets like Maritime Group and yung ating seaborne battalion ng Special Action Force nakadeploy doon sa Lanao Lake para ma-sealed off yung area.
Ano po yung role ng Special Action Forces ng SAF doon?
Kasama sila. They are working side by side with the JSOG at saka ng Philippine Marines. Kasama sila doon.
Briefly lang, dahil nabanggit po ninyo yung maritime, now the issue or the concern is meron daw na nakakalabas na mga maute sa Marawi through Lake Lanao. Is that being addressed already, that issue?
We help address the problem by, nag-volunteer ako kay General Anyo, sabi ko, sir, we have floating capabilities. Yung ating seaborne pwede i-deploy doon. So, tinanggap naman ni General Anyo yung aking recommendation. So makakatulong sila doon ngayon sa pag-control ng Lanao Lake.
But can you as Chief PNP give us an assessment of what you think the situation is like in Marawi now?
Siguro na-discuss naman palagi sa ibang mga sources na itong ISIS is losing ground doon sa Al-Raqqa, Syria at saka sa Mosul, Iraq because of the bombardment being conducted by the coalition forces at saka ng Russia. Kaya meron silang effort ngayon na ipapakita na malakas pa rin sila. They're losing ground there, di ba? At saka yung boundary ng Turkey, which is used to be the boundary ng Turkey at saka Syria, saan talaga doon ang ruta na ginagamit ng mga foreign jihadists na gustong sumali sa gira doon, sinara na ng Turkey. So, ang ginagawa nila ngayon, yung advice nila sa mga foreign jihadists na gustong sumali sa jihad is hindi na sila makapasok sa Syria dahil sarado ng Turkey. You conduct jihad doon sa lugar ninyo, kung saan kayo nagagaling. And nakikita nila alternate na venue ng kanilang jihad is itong Southern Philippines, itong Mindanao. So, yung iba dito na nagpunta sa atin.
PNP Chief General Ronald Bato de la Rosa speaking to us earlier. We'll bring you the rest of that conversation a little later on in the show. Jojo Garcia, the Assistant General Manager and Chief of Staff of the MMDA, is here. He's going to tackle all the traffic issues. Secretary Ben Diokno of the Budget Department. The Armed Forces spokesperson, Brigadier General Restituto Padilla. And on my left, Trade Secretary Mon Lopez, Senator Richard Gordon, and Mr. TJ Batan, Assistant Secretary of the Department of Transportation. CNN Philippines Town Hall. We'll be right back. Stay with us. This is a CNN Philippines special presentation. Welcome back to Town Hall here at the Far Eastern University in Manila. We're taking a closer look at President Duterte's first year in office, and the top priority of the president from the very beginning is the war on drugs. He promised and repeatedly emphasized that he would put a stop to illegal drugs. The president even had a self-imposed deadline saying the job would be done in 3 to 6 months. Now, this aggressive crackdown on drugs has triggered widespread international criticism, and front and center of this campaign is the head of the Philippine National Police, General Bato de la Rosa. I sat down with him earlier today.
Right now, it's going on smoothly. Okay naman. At yung mga agam-agam na mga taong bayan na maraming mga pinapatay ng pulis, yun naman ay nadidisprove natin by the number of arrests na nahuli natin. No? Ang dami. Ang dami. Hindi naman pinapatay lahat. Namamatay lang yung lumalaban at ipagbarilan sa pulis. Pero yung hindi lumalaban, nahuhuli naman, hindi namamatay. So, ito nga, I have heard the data, yung napatay, died in police operations, umaabot na sa 3,135, while yung arrested, ito'y buhay talaga ito ha, arestado lang, 81,986. So napakarami ang nahuli natin, hindi lahat pinapatay. Yung namamatay lang talaga, yung lumalaban at nakipagbarilan sa ating kapulisan.
In terms, sir, of the policemen who have been investigated by IAS, the Internal Affairs Service, ano po yung status nila?
Well, marami na nakasuhan. Like, for example, yung kay Marcos, di ba? Ando na initially napailan sila ng ang findings was murder, din ngayon nagiging homicide, di ba? Yung grupo nila. Still, nakapile pa rin ang kaso. Oo.
In terms, sir, there are about 200 plus cases na na-filean laban sa mga pulis sa IAS. Ano po nangyari doon?
So far, yung napailan ng kaso na drug-related cases yan, ha? Out of the 214 cases ba yun na hinawakan ng IAS since nag-assume ako from July 1 of last year, around 160 na ang pa-dismiss natin. Meaning, hindi na talaga sila police. Tinanggal natin sa serbisyo. Dismissed from the service.
That's a very big number.
Very big number. I don't know kung meron bang, meron ba bang ibang chief PNP before me na nakadismiss ng 160 police in that span of time. Very short span of time. Kasi talagang unforgiving kami pagdating sa drug-related cases. Sabi ko sa kanila, pag nag-positive sa drugs yan, sa drug test, dismiss nyo kagad, huwag nyo patagalin na.
Can you tell us what the present status is now in terms of crime? Yung crime rate ba? Is it down? Is it, ano po yung latest?
Compared to last year, covering the same period, no? Umabot na tayo ng 27% yung decrease ng index crimes.
When you say
Index crime discovers murder, homicide, yung crimes against property such as theft and robbery, at rape. The drug problem, we are also solving the crime situation, the crime problem in the Philippines.
Well, when we talk about drugs and the war on drugs, we're also talking about drug rehabilitation. And one question there is for Secretary Diokno. Sir, can you tell us more about government funding for these drug rehab centers?
Ang pagkakaalam ko dyan, nag-allocate kami ng 2.8 billion for the facility, drug rehab. Pero hindi yung sufficient. Dapat meron mga doktor doon, may mga psychiatrists doon, and you have to provide medicine for those who avail of the drug rehab. So, except sa ngayon, hindi ko lang masabi kung nasaan na tayo ngayon. Ano. But we have provided for the facilities, no? And also the doctors. So meron may ganung,
pondo.
May pondo doon. No?
Kailangan lang hanapin. Ina, yeah, go ahead.
We have a question from Keith. He is from the Institute of Arts and Sciences Student Council. Ikaw yung president nun, tama ba? Okay, he has a question about the war on drugs.
Good evening po. For about 2 years po, naging officer po ako ng organization which is the FU Drug Abuse Prevention Core Group, which advocates for drugs and substance abuse prevention awareness. So here's my question. Has the administration, through its concerned offices, devised a better plan to address the country's drug problem? If yes, may we be given an idea about it? And if no, does this mean that the current plan is the admin's best plan so far?
Pero not a direct answer because as we always say that as long as we have, you keep them busy, give them jobs or you put them into entrepreneurship, magnegosyo, keep their lives productive, you can stay away from drugs. And of course, there are campaigns now don't try it, say no to drugs. All of those campaigns are really important, preventive. At the same time, keeping them productive, changing mindset, a cultural revolution that's needed. We're starting off right now. We're now in martial law and the discipline being put back. And the administration, even prior to the martial law, ang presidente natin, in fact, nabanggit niya rin pagbalik ng ROTC to bring back discipline. These are important values that our people should have. Having a positive, entrepreneurial, and being, having that mindset now. I want to succeed in life, magbago akong buhay, I'll do something good for myself, for my fellow men. That kind of mindset is what we need para talagang malayo tayo sa drugs. Keep them busy and having that kind of productive mindset. Some say also use sports, put them into sports para maiwas talaga sa drugs. Ang talagang naging problema na kaharap natin, naging masyadong lucrative din yung trade at naging pabaya at naging maraming na-involve at na-facilitate yun and nobody was stopping it. And I always say this in other forum na talaga ito yung presidente na talagang putting a stop to it and really putting a break to it. And it's not easy dahil ang kaharap mo dyan, mga syndicates at malalaking mga drug dealers and those in the trade, big money involved. Kaya it takes a strong willed president who can really, and a strong leader who will champion it. Pag hindi po champion yan, hindi po natin alam mangyayari. Kaya lumalayan dati.
Senator Gordon, you have a brief input for this?
That's a very good question. The answer is simple. Nobody owes us a living. We must work within a system. People must be part of the process of change. Government provides opportunities. The Senate has created universal public education. Dapat, alam mo ang tingin ko doon, libre nga edukasyon, hindi gimmick yan. So dati yung magpapaaral na bata, anak, hindi natin kayang na mas mataas sa paaralan. Ngayon pa lang, sasabihin na ng magulang, pwede na tayo makapasok sa universidad. Wala nang dahilan na hindi ka mag-aral ka. And you must look for opportunity. Alam mo, sinasabi ni Singapore, nobody owes us a living. Dapat, you have to look at TESDA, you have to look at all the opportunities. Parents must look after their children. Yung kultura natin is talagang nagtutulungan tayo. And it's important that we find ways and means to find our own opportunity. We're very creative. Tourism. Abay, from your own computer, your own cell phone, you can actually promote tourism by saying, I'm a guide. I will learn how to speak Japanese. I will learn how to speak Spanish. Then you can say, call me when you're here. Or I can have you, I can guide you in Intramuros. I can guide you in the best beaches in the country. On your own, you can have, your whole world is your oyster. There are no more borders. So nasa sa iyong kusa.
Okay.
Kung gusto, maraming paraan. Kung ayaw, maraming dahilan.
Okay. This is a CNN Philippines special presentation. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll talk about traffic and transport. Metro Manila traffic, after all, still ranks as among the worst in the world. When we return, we'll speak to our transportation officials in the room. Stay with CNN Philippines. This is Town Hall, a CNN Philippines special presentation. We're here at the Far Eastern University. Today's Town Hall focuses on year one of the Duterte administration. Now, during the campaign season, many of us wanted to hear from presidential candidates about their solutions. What exactly are they going to do to solve the crippling traffic problems of our country, especially here in Manila? What has been done by the current administration? Many studies talking about how costly traffic is in Metro Manila. It's 2.4 billion today. It could go up to about 6 billion in about 10, 15 years. So let's bring in to the conversation Transportation Assistant Secretary for Rails, TJ Batan. Clearly, sir, no easy solutions here. But maybe you can address this question first, no? From Facebook, John Lucas asking, how soon can we experience better public transport in Metro Manila? And then the second question, when can we see a more reliable MRT?
Thank you, Pia. Una sa lahat, pag pinag-uusapan natin yung problema sa transportasyon, tinitingnan natin to dun sa lense ng apat nating sektor. Meron tayong sektor ng riles, meron tayong sektor ng dagat, sektor ng mga airports natin at road transportation. So, hayaan niyo po kami na magbigay ng ilang mga sagot ukol dun sa apat na sektor na ito. Siguro, gusto namin sabihin na marami nang nagawa, ngunit kinikilala namin na napakarami pang kailangan gawin. Halimbawa na lang sa MRT3 natin, dun sa katanungan mula sa isa nating mga netizen, mapapansin po siguro nung mga mananakay natin sa MRT3 na mula noong panahon na meron lang tayong 13 tren na tumatakbo, naiakyat na po natin ito sa 20 tren at patuloy po natin na ginagawa ang mga kailangan gawin upang maiakyat pa po natin ito sa 22 tren na may tiga-4 na bagon. Kasalukuyan po kasi tig-3 bagon lang tayo. Nandiyan na po yung mga bagong tren, ina-upgrade na po natin yung power system. Lahat po ng kailangan gawin para ma-deploy ito ay ginagawa na. So yan po ay sa sektor ng riles. Sa sektor naman po ng aviation ay marami na rin pong nagawa. Halimbawa po ay naiakyat na po natin ang mga tinatawag nating air slots sa NAIA na nakaukol po sa ating mga commercial flights. Mas naipatupad na po natin ng mas mahigpit yung tinatawag natin na 5-minute time window para po maka-pushback at maka-depart ang ating mga eroplano. Ano pong ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin po nito is given yung limited nating infrastructure sa NAIA, kasi nandiyan na po yung runway, yan lang po yung terminal. Mahirap po yung i-expand. Naiaakyat po natin yung efficiency ng existing po nating asset. Ngayon po, siguro nakikita nyo na yung mga ginagawa natin ngayon ay nakatutok sa pag-akyat ng efficiency ng mga existing nating assets. Existing po ang Line 3, existing ang Line 1, existing ang Line 2, existing ang NAIA. Ngunit sa kabilang dako naman po ay napakarami din pong ginagawa upang makapagtayo ng mga bagong infrastruktura at ito po yung naririnig natin na programa ng Duterte administration na Build, Build, Build. 8 trilyong piso po ang inilalaan ng inyong gobyerno upang masolusyonan ang ating problema sa infrastruktura at sa transportasyon. At ito po, nakikita nyo na itong mga nakalipas na araw, itong mga nakalipas na linggo at buwan, isa-isa na pong nairo-roll out sa pamumuno po ni Secretary Arto Gade ang aming mga programa at ang aming mga proyekto, hindi lamang po sa sektor ng riles, kundi pati rin po sa sektor ng aviation, ng maritime at ng road. Halimbawa na lang po, 2 linggo nakaraan ay nilaunch po namin yung tinatawag nating PUV Modernization Program. Ito po ay isang programa na napakarami po nating mananakay ang makakaramdam. Dahil po sa kasalukuyan nating kondisyon, halimbawa, 10% lang po ng ating mga computers ang gumagamit ng mga relays natin. Ngunit 90% po ng ating mga commuters ang gumagamit ng ating road-based public transport. So imagine po yung impact na magagawa ng PUV modernization doon sa pangkalahatan na commuting experience. So siguro po, I'll leave it at that muna, Pia, pero ito yung sinasabi namin na marami nang nagagawa doon sa mga kasalukuyang problema, ngunit napakarami pang kailangan gawin. Salamat.
All right. Before we ask Secretary Lopez to explain further about yung build, we want to ask MMDA Assistant General Manager Jojo Garcia dahil araw-araw alam niyo naman po yung problema sa traffic. Ano? What can we expect from MMDA Chairman Danny Lim and the new MMDA leadership in the next, like say, 1, 2, 3 months?
Okay. Hi, Pia. Good afternoon. Actually, right now, tanggap naman nating lahat, na really yung volume ng sasakyan, kulang ang roads natin para sa volume ng sasakyan. Talagang sobrang dami na lang sasakyan natin, So, hindi talaga kasya sa roads natin sa Metro Manila. But still, ang target lang ni Chairman right now is dapat yung EDSA na yan, lalo na yung EDSA, very particular kami dyan, na hindi siya maging parking lot. At least kahit mabagal, tumatakbo siya. So, kailangan malaman natin anong problema. Bakit nagkakaroon ng bara or mga mga paghinto dyan. Ang main cause talaga ng traffic is yung obstruction and corruption. First is obstruction. Ano ba yan? This is yung mga PUVs natin na they're naglo-load, unload kahit saan. Wala silang disiplina. Second is yung mga illegal parking. Ang dami nating mga mamamayan, may sasakyan, pero wala namang parking So nakaparada sila sa mga kalye, sa kalsada, na talagang obstruction.
Yung mga kalye na, not EDSA, no?
No, yeah. Not just
that
EDSA,
causes a problem.
Yeah, no. And then third is yung mga obstruction natin sa sidewalk. Illegal vendors. Kasi kung may obstruction ka sa sidewalk, ang tao nasa kalye. So mababawasan na naman yung lane para sa mga sasakyan So now, bakit naging corruption? Yung mga PUVs, hindi maglalakas ng loob yan huminto kung san-san kung walang patong o payola sa mga enforcers. Yung may illegal vendors, hindi maglalakas ng loob yan kung wala silang binibigyan So parang target ngayon namin ni Chairman Danny Lim is first, disiplina sa motorista, then disiplina rin sa enforcers. Yung disiplina kasi sa ating mga drivers, pedestrian, wala may pag-asa pa yung Metro Manila Because lagi namin sinasabi, yung ating mga motorista na yan, dalhin mo sa ibang lugar. Like example sa Subic, sa teritoryo
the old Subic and the old class. Sumusunod tayo.
Sumusunod tayo pag nasa Subic tayo. Yung mga pedestrian, dalhin mo sa ibang bansa, sa Hong Kong, Singapore. Sumusunod sila. Walang nag-jaywalking, walang nagkakalat. So ang tanong lagi, why? Pag nasa Metro Manila, bakit walang sumusunod? Kasi nga, kailangan natin is the strict implementation ng law, ng traffic rules. So, kailangan ipatupad namin yan. Siguro sa pangunguna ni Chairman Lim, pwedeng ma-inspire ang tao So we also need to use yung reputation ni Presidente Duterte, disiplina and corruption. So maybe we can take advantage of that na sundin nyo na ang batas trapiko. Nandiyan kami seryoso si Chairman sa pagpapatupad nito.
And traffic rules are the simplest laws of the land. Kung
Yes,
hindi
ma'am.
tayo susunod doon, ewan ko naman.
Yan. And then, ang sabi nga namin, may analogy lagi yan. Parang may malaki kang tank ng water, may maliit na pipe. Basta walang bara yung pipe, mauubos din yung water. Tuloy-tuloy ang flow Pero kung may bara yan, may obstruction dyan, talagang kahit ano gawin mo, talagang hindi aandar yan
Okay.
So we need really, sabi nga ni Chairman, we need to start from basic. Talagang disiplina lang muna.
Okay, disiplina at kanina sabi niya, binanggit niya, Secretary Lopez, kulang ang roads. Can you tell us about build?
Okay. Well, nandiyan din si Secretary Jokno, but at least yung sa implementation ng build na banggit na 8 trillion peso program po yan over 5 years at popondohan po majority by government at may budget formula si Secretary Jokno dyan that will allow the government to fund it and then there will be foreign and local fund sourcing as well. Yung equity dyan, yung mariraise nating revenue. At yung other parts of it will be the loans. At yung sa loans will be 80% local and 20% foreign loan. So talagang hindi tayo didepende sa foreign loan. But sa amin po, ang impact po niyan, better quality service to the people, at the same time lowering the cost of doing business in terms of logistics, increasing efficiencies, at napapaganda yung negosyo. In fact, that's one attraction na iniintay din ng maraming foreign investors na gumanda yung economic infrastructure natin pagdating sa ports, no, the airports, the seaports, the roads, the bridges, and lahat na kailangan natin para galaw yung logistics requirements sa pagnenegosyo.
Secretary Diokno.
Katulad ng sabi ni Secretary Lopez, mag-allocate kami ng 8 to 9 trillion, hindi lang 8 trillion pesos over a period of 6 years. No? At saka yan, marami talaga kaming gagawin na hindi yung mga, we will not fritter away yung resources, yung mga 5 million dito, 10 million doon. Hindi, talagang malaki ang proyekto ito. No, katulad nung sinasabi na magpatatayo kami ng train papuntang Clark. No? At magtatayo naman kami ng train from Clark pabalik dito sa NAIA. Yung fast train, ang magpa-fund yan, Chinese. 30 minutes. Alam mo yun? And then may pinaplano rin kami itayong subway, no? From Caloocan papuntang FTI, no? Yun, 30 minutes din yun. There's a long train from Tutuban to Calamba, Calamba to Matnog, Sorsogon. Tatayo rin kami ng tulay from Matnog, Sorsogon papuntang Southern Leyte or Leyte. So, malalaking proyekto. In total, 75 flagship projects, no, na gagawin namin yan para magdugtong-dugtong talaga ang buong Pilipinas. Yung mga rich regions to the poor regions para mag-connect, no? Para yung hindi mo na kailangan pumuntang Manila para magtrabaho. You create a lot of centers all over the country.
Okay, ang daming comments, balita ko, no, David, sa social media, pero meron daw 2 sentences si Senator Gordon.
Decongest Manila. Lahat nandito eh.
Oo.
Dispersed industries. Yan ang Central Luzon. Yan ang Southern Luzon. Ang daming lupa. In Central Luzon, 3 airports. Subic, Clark, Manila. 3 seaports. Subic, Mariveles, Manila. Ginagamit ba yung Subic Airport? Ginamit ang FedEx yan. Nung umalis yung FedEx, nawala lahat yung infrastructure namin dyan. Ibalik nyo yan. At dapat ilagay nyo sa Clark. Dapat joint airport yung Clark at saka Subic para lilipad dito yung airways.
Okay.
Subic to Clark.
I know.
Subic to Clark.
That's why bilisan natin yan. And then you have to have the local governments create the industrial parks na pagpunta roon, hindi mo sasabihin, saan ako maglalagay ng negosyo? Doon. Hindi ganon. Dito. Dito tayo maglalagay. 100 hectares dito, 100 hectares dyan. Then may ibebenta ka. Then lalabas ang negosyo.
Okay.
At dapat dito sa Manila, pataas na. Hindi yung nakatira na ang tao sa taas, hindi na sa baba umakalat. Para na mabilis, nakatira sila sa bayan, naglalakad nila sila patrabaho.
Okay, sir. So ang motto nyo, decongest Manila. Let's also decongest the social media feeds right now. Ang daming comments. David.
Yeah, mainit nga talaga itong issue on traffic and transport system natin, no? Kasi this is a basic problem that we have to deal with every day. Anyway, sa isang Facebook user, his name is Paulo, a question to the MMDA, sir. What is the wisdom behind the proposal on the 2-day coding scheme? Why not focus on the improvement of the quality and structure of public transport services instead?
Yeah. Yung proposal na 2-day na traffic coding, no? Actually, ano lang naman yan eh. Nilabas lang ni Chairman Lim yan. Hindi naman porket nilabas si Chairman Lim, gagawin kagad yan. May council tayo 17 mayors. They should approve it. And then next, kaya namin nilabas yan is just para mapulsuhan lang yung bayan kung ano ba talaga, kung ano magiging impact niya, negative ba or positive. No? Kasi talagang sabi nga namin, puwersahin mo man ng tao na matanggal ang volume ng sasakyan sa EDSA, kailangan mo talaga ng mabisang public transport. So yung sa amin, yung paglabas namin dyan ng 2-day na coding, pinupulsuhan pa lang namin dyan kung ano ba magiging impact sa atin. Kasi tanggap naman ng lahat na talagang yung volume ng sasakyan ang cause ng traffic. Main cause ng traffic.
Let's go to Ina Andalong.
We do have questions also on traffic. Alam mo, when we started talking about traffic, nag-spike.
Biglang nagka-traffic.
Nagka-traffic
Sa social
din.
media feed.
We're up
Okay.
now to 1.3 thousand viewers on our Facebook Live. We did get another query on the proposed traffic scheme. Meron pang isa also on traffic. What if, this is from Jed Sincero, what if all government agencies like LTO, NBI, SSS, Pag-ibig, and others going 24 hours para hindi lahat ng tao sabay-sabay pumunta at mabawasan daw yung mga bumabiyahe?
Secretary, paano yung overtime?
Pwede ba yun?
Yeah, ako.
Sec Lopez.
Yeah, let
Sec Mon.
me mention, no, kasi I also came from this ease of doing business, and partly we're now talking of really improving, streamlining bureaucratic red tape and automating it. And eventually, we'd like to make use lahat ng application, pag-fill up ng form, pag-apply ng business permit online, sa mobile apps natin, sa smartphone. Yun po ang aming pina-project ngayon, and in fact, we just mentioned a while ago our vision na maging rank top 20 tayo by year 2020 when it comes to competitiveness and ease of doing business ranking. And kasama po yan, yung mga pag-fill up ng form, pagkuha ng mga permits. If we can invite lahat po ng ating mga ahensya, i-streamline, i-automate, tapos i-link natin sila. So yung pag-apply, let's say, sa SEC, sa SECYON, tapos sa PhilHealth, sa BIR, lahat ng requirement dyan, tapos nakakonect sa LGU. Within 1 day, within 1 hour, para ka lang bumibili ng plane ticket. And the PayPal or kung ano yung payment system, nakakonect na rin doon. At paglabas doon, ipiprint out mo na yung business permit mo. Di ba? Ang ganda na. Or paglabas doon, ipiprint out mo na yung NBI clearance mo. Hindi ka na kailangan pumunta doon at mag-apply.
And when are we going to see this, sir?
Yun po sa business permit side, ang tinatarget namin 2020 or even earlier. Actually, we're talking of 2019 para lumalabas dyan yung report na 2020. Tapos, depende ho sa bilis din ng pag-streamline ng ating mga kasama sa mga agencies. But we are looking at that vision, Vision 2020, which is Malinaw 2020.
Pero yung tanong 24 hours daw.
And then, pupunta nga tayo. Within 24 hours nga yung pagka nandito ka na, hindi ka na kailangan bumiyahe. That's the point. Makakabawas ka na sa traffic. I think that's the point I'm trying to make also. Online na kasi. Dito ka na kumukuha. Hindi ka na pupunta sa sales ticket office or sa business permits. Less biyahe na, no? Ay, mga ganyan. And I agree with Senator Gordon, the dispersal, lahat po yan, solution yan. That's the reason why we're promoting micro SME nationwide. We're doing all this training para doon na yung negosyo. You create jobs there, etc. Less migration to Manila. And of course, the economic zones that we're building around the country para talaga ng opportunities
Okay,
nandun.
buzzword online. Online, people are asking to hear from Senator Richard Gordon.
You know, dispersal of industries, build up Manila, stop building low-slung homes. In New York, they live up in the condos, they go to work. You know, there are many things, school buses, carpooling, all this. We have to act as a nation. You cannot leave traffic to MMDA. You cannot leave traffic, just as you cannot leave drugs to the police. Masyadong delikado yan. You cannot leave Marawi to the military. Ang solusyon yan, eliminate the problem. So you have to come up with a congruent solution na sabay-sabay, sumasabay ang tao. May responsibility rin tayong lahat. So, again, yung staggered working hours ata tinatanong ng Ali doon, staggered working hours could be alas 6 ang pasok ng mga magtatrabaho, alas 8 yung mga eskwela. Para
24 hours kasi daw yung
pwede 24 hours, why not?
offices.
Especially we are in the right... We have something very important. We are on the right time zone. Kaya malakas ang ating business processing outsourcing. Pagka umaga rito, gabi sa Amerika. So they can send us things to do and we can answer, and by the time they wake up, we can do it. You can do that. It's already working. Ang problema natin is yung salansan. Dapat talaga, there must be a group that is always finding out how we can fine-tune our viability in traffic, in business, and always looking for solutions. Never stopping. Hindi mo masosolve yan na yung barado, yung consistency, yung predictability dapat ina-address. You cannot say, oh, tomorrow we will have an infrastructure program. Maghihintay yan. People must always be part of the process of change.
There's still so much more to talk about here on CNN Philippines Town Hall, a special presentation. We'll talk about traffic and other matters. Right after this break, stay with us. Welcome back. This is CNN Philippines Town Hall here at Far Eastern University. We're talking about many things about President Duterte's first year in office. Our guests today, MMDA Assistant General Manager Jojo Garcia, Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno, AFP Spokesman Brigadier General Restituto Padilla, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez, Senator Richard Gordon, and Transport Assistant Secretary TJ Batan. David Santos.
There's a question also from Facebook. Tinatanong nila kung pwede ba nating higpitan, no, yung pagbigay ng mga licenses sa mga nag-a-apply sa LTO. Perhaps anybody can answer this. Stricter, yan, no?
Alam ko, may plano si Secretary Tugade dyan. No? In addition, kasi marami kaming train ngayon, no? Magtatayo siya ng Institute for Railway Employees. No? At saka doon na magkakaroon ng driving. Kasi ngayon talaga naman, it's a joke yung binibigay na driving exam eh. Urong sulong lang, pasado ka na eh.
At saka kailangan higpitan yung driving ng mga public utility vehicle. Parang, ewan ko, nakahawak lang ng manibela, pinag-drive na eh. You know, yung parang wala talagang training, the way din, yung swerving. And, I mean, disiplina sa kalye, importante.
Yung lisensya natin, ang tagal-tagal makuha. Hindi ka driving test. Yun lang, mahirap na eh. I just came from Spain. People are complaining, hindi nila ma-renew yung kanilang expired driver's license. Kailangan para umarap dito. Sometimes it's just a matter of communication. And then, teaching our kids in school, when you get to learn to drive, you drive not only with your eyes, but with your mind. Kasi dito, takutan eh. Titignan mo yung mata ng kabila eh. Uunahan mo doon sa kwan eh. Di ba, ganun tayo? Dapat, doon sa Subic, tinuturo namin, pagdating mo sa four-way stop, first come, first serve, bigayan kayo. Yun ang tinuturo dapat sa driving test. Lahat naman ng test pumapasa. Maraming abogado, maraming doktor, pag nag-practice na, baluktot pa rin eh. So it's important yung attitude natin maayos. And therefore, kasabayan niya ng maayos na pagpapatakbo ng lisensya. Yun lang plate number. I'll go to something important to my heart. Ang dami-daming binabaril ng riding in tandem. Bakit hindi natin sinosolve yan? Panahon pa ni Noynoy, panahon pa ni Gloria, panahon pa nung nakaraan, ginagamit ang motorsiklo, and you now have so many motorcycles. Isn't it a simple solution? Dahil hindi nakikita ang liit-liit ng plaka, lakihan mo ng konti yung plaka para matakot yung magmamaneho at meron ka ng deterrent. And dapat tuloy, makikita ng CCTV kagad, madaling mahuli, matatakot ng bubaril, yung mga yan. Yan ang karamihan na sinasabing extrajudicial killing na hindi natin sinosolve. Nakapokus tayo kay Duterte, pero tingnan nyo ang statistics. 12,000 are killed every year. 10,000. Tumataas nung araw pa. But nobody is watching the traffic.
Alright. Kung pwede lang, hindi na tayo mag-move on sa traffic dahil lahat ng tao mainit ang ulo. Pati sa social media, David? But anyway, we need to move on. Like I was saying, let's talk about the economy and corruption. Let's try to squeeze everything in. But let's begin first with Secretary Mon Lopez. Tell us, sir, about the President, of course, has been visiting several countries and he's been bringing home quite a bit. Tell us about the big foreign investments that are coming our way.
Okay. So, diyan naman, I think we really see the benefit of the current policy ng ating presidente na being friends to all, opening up more doors, more windows. Excuse me. Pagdating dito sa pakikipagkaibigan sa mga iba't ibang bansa, especially yung mga bansa na dati hindi natin, we have cold relationships, particularly China, Russia. Yung Japan, malakas na ang relationship natin, lalo pang napalakas nung bumisita rin ng presidente at naging close friends. Sabi nila, more than friends, like brothers. Ganon din yung parang kapatiran ng ating Pangulo with President Xi Jinping of China at ganoon din sa Russia, na ang kapalit nito ay talagang pagkakasi magkaibigan ng dalawang leader, lahat ng mga kasama sa organisasyon, mabilis din ang usapan. So kapalit nito yung investment na kinumit, ODAs na 9 billion from China, $9 billion din from Japan, mga private business-to-business dealings, maluwag yung palitan ng information, ng exploration ng mga projects. So business-to-business, marami ring nagpapasukan at nagpipirmahan. Isa pa doon sa trade, alam ng China na napakalaki ng trade deficit natin sa kanila dahil nung araw halos pareho ang trade balance natin with China. Subalit nung nagkaroon na ng medyo malabong relationship, tayo, napansin ko, tuloy pa rin ang pag-import natin. Lumalaki pa rin yung import natin year on year in the past 5 years. But our export to China has been curtailed already, such that lumaki na from a balanced trade with China. In a matter of about 4 years, ngayon we have about $4 billion, $5 billion trade deficit on China alone. And the President of China, President Xi Jinping, noticed that. Sabi, kasama dun sa mga usapan, we'll help you balance the trade. We'll buy more fruits, agriculture products. Immediately, nilift yung suspension ng mga exporters. Immediately, nag-issue ng $100 million at to be followed last February by $1.7 billion in terms of purchase order of agriculture products from the Philippines. Sabi nila, pag hindi nyo masuplayan at may problema sa standards, tutulungan pa namin kayo, magpapadala kami ng expert para makapasa kayo sa standard. Dati, pag di pumasa sa standard, block na kaagad. That kind of relationship won't happen kung malabo yung relationship. In Japan, ganun din po. So may mga trade commitment sila, pati investment. And these investment commitments are not commitments kasi nakikita namin, nare-realize siya ngayon. For example, yung paggawa ng Toyota locally, paggawa ng Mitsubishi Mirage G4 locally, nagumpisa na po yan that will create local employment. At the same time, local content. Ibig sabihin, mga local suppliers susuplayan yung local production dito. Things like these are happening because of these trips that have been happening also.
We need to move into the final stretch of the show. So we'd like to tackle corruption. Kanina binanggit na ni MMDA Assistant GM, Jojo Garcia, how you're tackling corruption in your organization. Sa Transportation Department, ASEC Batan, what can you share with us about that anti-corruption campaign? It is one of the President's pillars, no, of his administration.
Pia, siguro kung pwede kong i-echo yung palaging sinasabi ng aming kalihim na si Secretary Artugade, the President and our Secretary does not tolerate, does not accept corruption in any shape or form. Napakalakas ng paalala ni Secretary sa lahat ng mga tauhan ng aming departamento at ng aming mga attached agencies na hindi lang corruption, ngunit pati yung perception of corruption ay kailangan naming iwasan. Mahigpit na pinapatupad sa departamento ngayon yung tinatawag natin na no-gift policy. Hindi kami pwedeng kumain sa labas na hindi kami ang nagbabayad. Palaging pinapaalala ni Secretary Tugade sa aming mga kausap sa labas ng departamento na kung ayaw nyo, kung ine-expect nyo ang isang departamento, ang isang gobyerno na hindi corrupt, paunawa namin na sana ay huwag nyo rin kaming subukin o huwag nyo rin kaming attemptin na korapin. So malakas ang paalala ng ating Presidente, ng ating Pangulo at ng ating Secretary na sa lahat ng ating gagawin sa loob ng administrasyon na ito ay dapat hindi lang walang corruption, ngunit walang perception of corruption. At dyan makakaasa ating taong bayan dahil napakarami ng perang inilalaan ng ating gobyerno para sa infrastruktura at sa transportasyon ngayong administrasyon na ito.
Secretary Diokno for the Budget Department, speaking for other departments also.
Well, maliwanag naman talaga yung statement ng Presidente. Yung whiff of corruption lang, tatanggalin ka niya eh. Nakita mo yung Secretary of Local Government, sa harap ng kabinete yun. Finire niya. At sabi ko nga, bakit nangyari yun? Kasi there's a strong message, yung sabi nila. Yun talagang malakas ang policy namin. We will not tolerate corruption in any form.
All right, we'd like to thank our guests today on Town Hall, CNN Philippines presentation, and I'd like to invite you to join us here upstage, TJ Batan, Assistant Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Senator Richard Gordon. Please join us here, Secretary Mon Lopez of the Trade and Industry Department, Brigadier General Restituto Padilla, AFP spokesman, Secretary Benjamin Diokno, the Budget Department, MMDA Assistant General Manager Jojo Garcia, and also we'd like to call up here, up front, Ina Andulong and David Santos, our senior correspondents. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNN Philippines Town Hall, and thank you also to the Far Eastern University here in Manila. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.